space. And that's what makes them a great partner, because that's what we try to do in Metaverse HQ, but we're just sort of a little bit priced out, and a little bit more technically like the skill gap is just so high. So I think partnering with them made so much sense, because we can give leverage our experience to help onboard. And that could also be a good partner for you too, Mark, because a lot of people, I mean, even people in the NFT space, the conceptual to conceptualize what a metaverse even means is difficult, because there is no one all the end all be all metaverse quite yet, right? There's no Fortnite or Call of Duty Warzone for play and earn games. Decentraland's trash. Sorry. Decentraland, needs work. The Sandbox is still being built. Sonium Space, all these other places, they're not as widely, engaged with. So I think that would be a really cool partnership. We can definitely make the connection there.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Yeah, you're absolutely right. There needs to be more, first-person shooters in the metaverse, right? I want to build, I want to take my own asset. I want to put it into, hopefully, mostly I'll buy it on MetaMundo when we're up and running. I'll buy my own asset, my own home. I can meet with my friend. He brings his own home, and then we have a shoot. We have a shoot up, wearing our bits, and then equipping ourselves with whatever weapons we want from whatever marketplace. That's where I want to be in the metaverse.
So I think this is a perfect bridge, right? Now that we've got some steam behind the conversation here, do you want to tell us and the audience more about MetaMundo, what it is, and what are the logistics for your upcoming release, and then we could just dive right in.
Sure. First of all, thank you very much for having me, guys. Big fan of Metaverse HQ, and obviously, very honored to be here and speaking to your community. So thanks all for listening in. I'm Mark. I'm one of the co-founders of MetaMundo, and we're building an NFT marketplace purely focused on 3D NFTs to build the metaverse. So we've had a great summer in the summer of 2D. I spoke to the guys about it this week. OpenSea, Rarible, they're great NFT marketplaces, but we saw the need for a 100% focused NFT marketplace for 3D assets, and we're making those assets work across multiple virtual environments and games. So we've actually built our own smart contract architecture that allows to have one NFT, and you can use that NFT in Decentraland, Somnium Space, CryptoVoxels, Spatial, and the list goes on. So we saw that you can buy 3D NFTs for each individual game and each individual virtual environment, but that, in our opinion, that's not the point of Web3. The point of Web3 is we own the future of the internet, and we should be able to move what we own, our assets, between different games and different environments. And with MetaMundo, our vision is to be the underlying content layer for the metaverse. We could say we're metaverse agnostic. We don't have any favorites. We want to basically say, look, if you want to have your own user-generated content, if you want to have your own house, your own car, if you want to have your own furniture for the metaverse, come to MetaMundo, and you'll be able to buy one NFT, collect one NFT, and then we'll help to make it work in every possible environment. And that's the general intro for MetaMundo.
Awesome. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is definitely more of an educational, coming from trying to understand this standpoint, not so much explain to the audience, because I just want to make sure we're on the same page. The idea is that any artist can come onto your platform and generate a master file of a 3D asset that your team then deploys across the different metaverses that you are, I guess, connected with, integrated with?
Yeah, so yeah, you got it pretty good there, Mitch, I have to say. Yeah, so when a 3D creator comes to us, a 3D artist, what we found was a 3D creator doesn't want to be restricted by working in the Decentraland builder or the Sandbox builder. They just want to work in the software of their choice, whether that's Blender, 3ds Max, this 3D creation software. They want to just, it's their artistic right to just build the best 3D asset they can. And they felt that they were too restricted by the requirements for Decentraland, and they weren't really incentivized to build for, to actually create these assets. So we're saying to the 3D creator, give us your 3D asset, the best version possible. This is like the future-proofed version of your 3D asset. And then we actually put it through our own technology in-house, and it actually optimizes and converts that 3D asset so that it's ready for each virtual environment and each game. And what we do then is we actually make the master file, the original file, that's the master NFT, the parent NFT, and then the optimized files that we convert for each virtual environment, they're the parent, they're the children, they're the child files. So what you get is you get one NFT, but you actually get a bundle of files, and you get the future-proofed one, which will work in future metaverses, and as we're talking about Wild World or Nifty Island or these other metaverses that are about to launch, it'll work there too as well. So you basically get this bundle, and then we have integrations with the different environments. So we're working on, speaking to Decentraland, CryptoVoxels, Somnium Space, Spatial, so that it's one click, import your NFT and start enjoying it and using it in that environment.
That's awesome. So what are the current, where is the platform at its current stage? So I'm a 3D artist, and you guys currently, like, I think before that, what platforms are you guys agnostic with right now or integrated with?
So the marketplace itself is not launched yet. We're actually working on the audit right now. We want to make sure that when we launch the marketplace, it's as safe as it can be, and as audited as it can be. And we're aiming to launch the actual marketplace in March. We're currently working with a select group of 3D artists and architects that we'll launch with. And some of these are really kind of the best 3D creators you can see. They make stunning, amazing 3D assets that you just want to enjoy in the metaverse. So we're working with them at the moment to launch, and we're really looking forward to the launch. That's going to be very exciting with these assets. But before that, we actually wanted to solve another problem. So we're working on the interoperability problem and solving that so that you can use one 3D NFT across many environments. But the other problem that we want to solve is the connectivity of the open metaverse. And we all believe, we believe within MetaMundo that we all need to work together. The open metaverse advocates, the Web3 advocates, we all need to work together, and the rising tide lifts all boats. We're all going to make it, basically. And what we're doing is we're developing the Meta Portal, OG 1500. It's the first NFT of its kind, actually. It's a 3D NFT. It's going to be interoperable. It will work across Decentraland, Somnium Space, CryptoVoxels, and Spatial. And this will actually allow you to transport across the metaverse. It will be a portal that you can put on your land or just engage with in a virtual environment. And having this portal, you'll actually gain access to special parts of the metaverse that our partners are creating, but also what we're creating. So we've partnered with, for example, MetaKey, Republic Realm, who are our investors, Animoca Brands, Open Meta. You can go to our site metamundo.co, and then /metaportal, and you'll see just some of the partners that we've partnered with, and there's actually many more coming. And they're all developing really unique experiences in the metaverse. We want to actually use this meta portal to allow you to gain access to these experiences. And this is a showcase of our technology. So we're doing it to basically build the best open metaverse community of, advocates we can find and work with. And then this community will also decide on, the future of MetaMundo, and in the future we'll be considering a DAO and also a token launch. And basically this first NFT drop will be.
Oh no, did I get rugged? Did he get rugged?
No, I think he got rugged.
A classic, a tale as old as time. Maybe if they didn't update the emojis, he wouldn't be rugged right now.
It wouldn't be a Spaces without a rugging.
It wouldn't be a
Is
space.
anyone there?
Oh, here we go. Yeah, we're back.
Oh, what happened?
You got rugged, sir. Congratulations.
Welcome to your first rugging. At least it didn't cost you any ETH. Speaking of which, is this a good time to talk about what we're minting today?
What you got?
I mean, Torx, if it ever opens up. I'm confused. I'm still really confused about that.
Nah, fam, it's tomorrow for you.
But bro, it says that the total supply is 9999. Is that wrong?
It's just the contract. That is the total supply, but that's not what's actually minted.
Gotcha.
Yeah, there's only around 739. I say around, I mean exactly 739 being minted.
Oh, wow. Okay. Cool. Torx Genesis. Yeah, and they've got that floor price is pretty stable, 0.33, so 2x mint. But with only not even 10% of the supply out in the market. Perhaps we'll ping Mark, let him know he's getting rugged.
Can you guys hear me?
Oh yeah.
Oh, there he is.
What did you miss?
Basically everything. I want to dial it back, right? So the portal. I want to talk about specifics. So, what specific metaverses are you guys integrating with? Where if people were to purchase the portal and own that NFT, they'd have interoperability into these metaverses. And again, I want specifics like Decentraland, Somnium Space, which ones that you guys have worked on, and which ones do you have your eye on? If you could share some of that alpha.
Sure. So the first thing that I would like to say is you don't need to own any land or be a metaverse landowner to benefit from the meta portal. We will give, if you own the meta portal, first of all, you'll get access to our OG lounge, which will be in Decentraland, Somnium Space, Cryptovoxels, and we'll also build one in Sandbox. And you'll get access to our OG lounge, and there you'll also be able to access, all the great stuff that the meta portal gives you access to in different parts of the metaverse. And you'll also have a private channel in our Discord, where we'll also be sharing the drops and the events that we'll be sending you to, and all of the hidden parts of the metaverse that we'll gain access to by having this meta portal. Now, moving on to to answer the question about where it works, we know that, for example, you can put it on your land in Decentraland, and we can hyperlink the portal, and then you can literally kind of walk through it, and then it can take you somewhere. So it works in Decentraland. Spatial, we're working with those guys they're working on hyperlinking on their portal too. Somnium Space also allows to have portals. And CryptoVoxels also allows you to have linking, but we'll be looking to work more intensely and try to make that work better in CryptoVoxels too. And then we'll be making it every single basically metaverse is kind of in one way or another an investor and a shareholder in MetaMundo. So we have Animoca Brands, we've got like the founder of Wilder Worlds, we've got the founder of Nifty Island, we have for example Digital Currency Group, which is one of the largest landowners in Decentraland as a shareholder and investor. So when we bring out the Meta Portal, we'll be actually slowly releasing all of these integrations and even more functionality as we further develop the Meta Portal. This is the version you get right now is just the start, and it's just going to get better and better. It's going to get more functionality. We're also going to I can also share some alpha with regards to I can share it's not alpha, but let's say I'm going to leave it out there. You might see when the Meta Portal is spinning around, at the back of the Meta Portal, there's an orange orb. And these orbs basically are going to add a lot more functionality and aesthetics and design, and also, how the portal can work. These orbs will actually change how the portal works. We're actually developing now further how that will work. But just hold on tight, because if you have one of these Meta Portals, there's going to be a bunch of really interesting stuff we're going to add to them over time.
I love it. And speaking of adding utility, we've been approached by a number of projects trying to kind of build out shopping metaverses per se. So looking to incorporate our merch drop into a metaverse, for example, where you can go around, look at the clothes, maybe even try them on an avatar. And is that something that you guys are looking into in terms of integrating purchases, or is that going to depend more on the actual metaverse you're integrating with?
I know High Street, the project. I think that's a really exciting project, which is basically shopping in the metaverse. And then Boson Protocol is doing a lot of great stuff in Decentraland. I think how the Meta Portal could work is, for example, if you own the Meta Portal, we could do a deal with one of the stores, or with a new high street that's opening up, and then by owning the Meta Portal, you'll be able to actually transport yourself to that street, to that area in the metaverse, and you could get some free goods or some free wearables or free in real life clothing by actually having the Meta Portal and visiting that street.
Okay, I like that. And you can kind of, teleport between different attractions and offerings. I don't know, my mind just kind of running wild with ideas, I guess. And that's kind of the point of the metaverse, right? Like there's a lot of quote unquote metaverses now, but none of them are interoperable. And I think that to really truly have a metaverse, you have to be able to switch between them, at the blink of an eye, and just be able to seamlessly transition from one to another and have your assets either go with you or change and morph to the new environment you're in. So I think that you guys are pushing us in the right direction, it seems.
I mean, we don't want to name names, of course, but the big tech companies are they're building their own walled garden metaverses. And I can name one name, like Mark Zuckerberg right now is hiring 10,000 3D creators in Europe to make him richer, right? And we're all in this because we believe in the power of Web3. I think we've all realized that the tech companies just have way too much power and control. And we just need to all recognize we're not actually competing with each other. We need to connect more. So for us to have this meta portal to allow us to, let's say, even working with you guys, that you've got an amazing new game or a new play to earn game or even a build to earn metaverse, and they're like, I would love to get some new people to come and test out my game. Then we can say, great, let's put a portal in there. Let's take some people, bring some people via the portal to this new game. And the idea that we all need to be basically bringing ourselves up and working together on this. So that's the philosophy that we have behind this portal, really.
Awesome. Yeah, I got a couple questions. With regard to, I guess, your team, right? So how is the structure set up? Like, how are you profitable as a business? So you have the NFT sale, and that allows you to build and develop. But like, let's just say, as Metaverse HQ, for instance, we want to create branded assets with, not just for Decentraland, not just for the Sandbox, but for a multitude of metaverses, right? That you guys are like agnostic with. Is that A, going to cost us something? And B, what would that process look like working with your team? Because on the website, it looks like you guys have like a team of 16 fully doxed individuals that I assume will be taking part in that process of like creating that master rendition, and then creating the subsequent NFTs that will exist in those like agnostic metaverses, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, so we are hiring like a lot of people at the moment. We're hiring 3D modelers, Unity devs, Unreal devs. Basically, we have a massive backlog of 3D creators right now, and we can't process every single 3D asset at the moment because there is a bit of manual work there. So we do have in-house 3D modelers and renderers, and they're optimizing these 3D files. But we also use our own technology and also open source conversion technology for these files. And as time goes on, we're basically looking to optimize this technology to automate the whole process. And then we can really scale it up. But we are going to start with, select 3D creators and artists, a bit more of a kind of super rare approach, a curated approach when we launch. And then with the idea that, we want everyone who wants to create their own chair or their own car, they can come to us and we'll be able to get it up and ready and mint it. And the cost for the creator, we take 15%. So that's our initial commission, and that's similar to Super Rare and Foundation. It's not because we're putting all of this time and effort into making sure these files work, and also our smart contract architecture, but also storing these files on decentralized cloud storage is definitely more expensive than storing on centralized storage like AWS. But surprisingly, it's not that expensive. So we're using Pinata as a service. And with our commission, with the 15%, a portion of that 15% will actually go towards maintaining the upkeep of these 3D files, going towards the hosting, and making sure they work on the blockchain.
Got it. Yeah, it's good to know. Can you talk to me about the diversity of the team? So you're pulling different designers from different companies. Is there going to be, like we were having the conversation earlier, where female representation in the space, from both a collector standpoint but also a creator standpoint, is not equal to how much men are in the space right now, and especially if we're going to be creating assets and designing assets to represent females within all of these metaverses, it'd be nice to know that there are females on the team.
Definitely. I mean, it's so important, right? We need to get more females into this industry. So at the moment, we are actually interviewing a number of females for roles. And let's say our full founding team of 6 people at the moment is unfortunately all guys. And that is something that we basically bring up just about every other team meeting. We're like, okay, let's try and see which females we can bring in. Actually, though, on the other side, the creators, I would say, out of all of the creators, we have maybe even 60% female, 40% male. So that's really nice. And that we haven't done that consciously. There's a lot of creative 3D females out there, artists, architects. So that's good news.
Cool. Yeah, as long as you're being mindful and again, we predominantly in staff at Metaverse HQ, it's still like 80% male, but we did hire Meg, I guess prominently and officially, but I guess she was like working with us for a month beforehand. It's definitely been nice to have her sort of bluntness, and it's a good contrast to me and Jacob sometimes. But yeah, she's also got a really good eye and also great representation. So it's been really nice to have Meg on board. You can already tell the dynamic of the team is like really shifted in a way that is a lot more accommodating. And it's been cool too to have female members of Metaverse HQ come and join and feel a little bit closer and more open to share with Meg. So that's been really cool. I want to talk about this is just an opinion thing, right? But like, what is the incentive for the Sandbox and Decentraland to work together? Because every single day, the major publishers are fighting for market share. They're fighting for users to get to play Warzone instead of Fortnite, to play League of Legends instead of the next game. So why wouldn't we see that same competition here? You're saying we should all live in harmony in the metaverses, but like, in fact, your platform is shit if no one uses it. And if you have tons and tons of users on your platform, then you don't want those users to leave. You want them to continuously engage in your metaverse.
I think that's a really good point. And you're right, there's competition all around us. However, how I'm seeing it play out, and I think we need to keep this in mind. If currently, we understand the internet as 2D. We've spent our whole lives interacting with the internet in 2D. And I saw a piece of research from NVIDIA that said at the moment, around 5% of the internet is interacted with in 3D. But that's going to actually go to 50% in surprisingly not a short amount of time, which is mind-blowing, which is basically the whole internet we've engaged with is really going to transform in the next few years. And each platform, if you consider each platform kind of a website, you still need to navigate between those websites. And how I'm seeing it is Decentraland is going to have its own advantages. Sandbox will have its own advantages for what works for them. Crypto Voxels actually already clearly has its own advantages. And each one is taking a slightly different direction. And as a user, you also don't just stick with purely one game. You want to go and experience new ones, or you don't just stick with one website. You want to go and experience new ones. So I think if we can all support each other in the development of this new Web3 and The current narrative coming out of Sandbox and Decentraland is that they want to support, connectivity and interoperability, because they understand that if they don't support interoperability, and if people do own these assets, then they don't want to put them in Decentraland or put them in Sandbox because they own the asset and they'll use it elsewhere. Additionally, I saw another piece of research from Epic Games, where Epic Games, they just acquired Sketchfab, which is one of the largest let's say Web 2 3D asset marketplaces, because they understand that they're trying to build their own walled garden metaverse, right, with Fortnite. And they found that the biggest barrier for them to build this metaverse is actually the 3D creators. So Decentraland has that problem. Sandbox has that problem. They need people to build it. They need people to come in and actually start making great games, great activities, quests, and so forth. So if we can say, look, we have the Burj Khalifa or the pyramids from Egypt, the Egyptian pyramids, and we have that as a 3D asset, and you can easily put it in the Sandbox, but the person that owns it can also put it in all of these other platforms, then it's going to benefit them as well.
Yeah, I think. Well, I think you brought up two good points, right? The first, I do agree with you. I think it's going to come to a consumer standpoint to demand that interoperability. I don't think, in the same way that, gaming needs to move or can move into play and earn gaming. If real gamers, conventional gamers like myself, who've sunk tens of thousands of hours into the, playing League of Legends, Final Fantasy, you name it, if they're able to see that play and earn gaming is the future, they should be able to sell their assets. They should be able to have real ownership over their assets in game. Then they'll demand it from Square Enix. They'll demand it from Blizzard. But if they don't, then Blizzard, Riot, Steam, these companies are not sort of incentivized to move into the play and earn gaming space. And sort of in that same fashion, users of the Sandbox and Decentraland, unless they are demanding for interoperability, then they're, these play and earn metaverses, these teams aren't incentivized to build or actually be interoperable. I don't agree with the notion though that we are always looking for a new website or a new game. In fact, I think if you really think about it, how many websites do you go to every single day, right? The average user of a Google Chrome or Safari, they're only pulling up 5 to 10 websites that they're incredibly familiar with, unless you're a fucking degen. And every single day you're looking up 5 to 10, 20 new projects, which is totally our purview, but the normal person is not really doing that. So I think there's there's that sense of, once you find a place that's familiar and you've built it into your routine, you don't have an incentive to look elsewhere unless you're I don't know, project NFT motivated like us, gamers especially, right? The whole point of building a really awesome game is that you don't want people to leave, and I think companies like Riot have done that really well with League of Legends and Valorant. You just have diehard players that would just continue to play that game. Same thing with StarCraft. So yeah, I'm gonna be really curious, when that interoperability between metaverses will happen, because there really isn't one single metaverse that everyone's using right now. So there's not even demand from a consumer base to really I don't know, be prominent enough for that, wouldn't you say?
I mean, truly, there's only 3 or 4 real open metaverses working at the moment, right? I think we kind of have to exclude Sandbox because it's just in alpha and you have to download it and it only works on Windows. But there are many virtual environments that people are using, VR chat as well, spatial, I was actually in Alt Space the other day, which is actually a really nice virtual reality space. However, it's been acquired by Microsoft, but it works great. And there's a lot of people in these spaces too. So for us, we're also taking this into consideration that actually we're seeing people meet up in alt space and then they create their own environment and then they show their friends this environment. So there's all sorts going on. And it's amazing just how many people are in different places as well. And I feel, and I do agree with you, Mitch, the past 10 years, we have been stuck too much on the same websites and maybe the same applications. But I think that's the most amazing thing about this Web3 movement, that it feels like we're actually restarting a little bit. It feels like there's so many new incumbents arriving and appearing and with so many new different things to do that I think that's really exciting. It feels like the web back in the 90s or like the early 2000s where where I remember eBay launching for the first time and going like, wow, okay, cool, I can actually sell something online. So yeah, I think for us, our job is to connect all of these places and actually foster this connectivity, because then it actually does become one place. If you can easily transport between these different environments with your avatar, right, with your digital identity, with whether you want to be in your Clone X avatar or your Meebits, or even your Bored Ape, your 3D version of your Bored Ape, this is going to happen, and I think the movement is just so big at the moment that I think we just need to find ways to connect all of these different applications that are working, and then we don't just stick with one.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with you there. I think the demand for metaverses. You could sense that demand through the volume, the action in the market for NFTs within these metaverses already, even though they're not even fleshed out and built yet fully. Like the Sandbox plot of land is, I think the floor price is well over $10,000 fiat. I think it's crazy that a Steph Curry metaverse shoe was sold for 20 Ethereum on the Polygon fucking network, right? Like this is all happening like behind the scenes of the market, and especially if it's on the Polygon network, like Ethereum NFT traders might not necessarily be seeing this, but like that was really crazy to me. And what the drop I'm referring to is Steph Curry's The Flow. I'm not sure if you caught that, but essentially you buy it. I think in essence, it's what you guys will be doing to a certain degree. Like they didn't build a marketplace, whatever, right? But it was just a drop of Steph Curry's shoe, and if you minted, there's like 3K of them, and they were $300 a pop fiat. You had to pay via credit card, which was like kind of the backwards thing. But you would be airdropped one of 5 silhouettes of the Steph Curry shoe, and then 2 weeks later, it was redeemable for that same shoe, that master like NFT on Polygon, but then renditions were made across the board for Decentraland, Sandbox, and what have you. And that is essentially the concept, right? It's like you have that master, and then you have these metaverses in which the master NFT can be like represented as an NFT within like Decentraland, within the Sandbox, and so forth. And I think that conceptualization is still really tricky, right? Even trying to explain it now, I'm like, what the fuck did I just say? But like, how does a value, for instance, let's put it this way: the master file of the Steph Curry shoe at its top was sold at 20 Ethereum before it was redeemable for that same shoe, that same silhouette in like 4 or 5 different metaverses where you would receive 4 to 5 NFTs representing that like master NFT. How does the value then how is the value of that shoe split up and divided, right? If that costs 20 ETH as a master, is that value still apparent across all 5 of these metaverses? That begs a bigger question. How do you trade how is it going to be easy to trade these NFTs? Because these NFTs are right now, each platform, you need that NFT of the representation of the shoe. You can't just have one NFT and then you just go into each platform and it's represented there. That's what's confusing to me, is that instead of having one master asset that's interoperable with all of these metaverses like Decentraland and Sandbox, you need like an NFT per metaverse of that silhouette. And that's like, in my collection, that's going to look like 5 of the same fucking shoe. And it's still really tricky. So you're right. I think we will get to a point where like one NFT master asset that you own is like incorporated, has its incorporation into all the metaverses that are agnostic. And hopefully you guys fit that bill, that description, that you guys will be that end all be all. But until we get to that point, I'm just sitting on a bunch of assets that I really can't be like, I can't really know the value of this asset unless I go into the metaverse, feel it out for myself. It's just such a hassle to have 5 of basically the same asset, or however many. But yeah, I'm just thinking out loud. It's like really, I wish, I mean, we're early. That's how I know we're early, is because it's like we still have like these sort of like nuances and ambiguities. But I want to start bringing people up for questions before I like totally lose my mind here. We got Chad. Welcome, brother. Can you hear us?
Hey, Chad.
Hey, can you hear me?
Hey. Yep. Loud and clear, brother. Happy Thursday, my friend.
Yeah, happy Thursday to you. So I got a quick question for you. Do you guys have an opinion on NFT worlds?
I've seen a lot about NFT worlds, and I have been checking these guys out. So my opinion is they look cool. We want to speak with them. We'd love to see how we can make our assets interoperable with them. Are you a builder? Are you like playing that game?
I'm not, but I'm relatively new to this whole entire thing, but I did get one of their worlds the other day. And then last night, I've never played Minecraft either, and I downloaded Minecraft and was able to walk right into my world from Minecraft. And I know, so essentially once they go live, they're going to have access to every single Minecraft user, which is like 130 million people or something like that. So yeah, I'm just wondering what you guys think of that.
Yeah, and also the team executes really well, actually. So I'm definitely keeping my eye on them for sure. And I think we will be supporting their file type, the .vox. So why not? We'd love to integrate with them. But I think I'm going to go check it out more now.
Okay, yeah, thanks. I was just curious if you guys had any opinion on that and what you thought of it.
What are your thoughts on it, brother?
I mean, I think it's pretty neat. Just as I learn more about it, I'm not a Minecraft player, but I know it's huge and it's still getting more popular. So just the fact that you can access it from there, I mean, you're kind of crossing a barrier there, right?
Yeah, I think Critters is probably like the best. Like when I see a new project, I hate to always try and like, we play we play like the relation game, right? Like we have this set of experiences in the NFT space, and when we see a new project like NFT Worlds, and we think to ourselves, is this going to be a good investment? Like what indicators like make it so? I always look back to previous projects and try to like be like, okay, for instance, for the NFT Worlds, if Critters could do it, right? Critters was a free mint, and at its heyday hit a peak of 2.4 Ethereum per critter. Yeah, on a fucking free mint. It was crazy. The cool thing about it was it was connected to it's not the Sandbox. It was connected to that Minecraft. It was connected to a private Minecraft server where you can actually like, loan your critter out. But like if you have the critter, you can like earn the token within the game itself that you can then use that ERC20 token to mint Critter's land. So thinking about that model, and like it was really cool because A, it was free to mint, and B, it just showed that the use case is like totally there, where you connect like an NFT and an ERC20 ecosystem, into that ecosystem along with Minecraft. Like that's really dope because Minecraft's not a play and earn game, but you sort of just made it a play and earn game when you incorporated that NFT and that ERC20, right?
Yeah, these use the world tokens, and you're going to be able to go in these little lands, and you can create your own games that you can trade world tokens for.
Yeah, I think that's definitely like if play and earn gaming, like these massive companies or whoever's building play and earn games right now, they're all building keeping their heads down. So we are finding alternatives to like incorporating our favorite games with NFTs, and I think like NFT Worlds could be a great example of that. And again, Critters was a really good example of that. You can even loan out your critters so that you can have your scholars play for you, which is a really popular model that Axie Infinity like made more prominent. But then again, bro, like I took that same approach with Blockverse, RIP, rest in peace, my ETH. That was like 0.08 to mint, and Blockverse was basically it was promising the same concept, the same like ecosystem and interoperability with like a private Minecraft server, and then they completely rugged us after mint. So sometimes the indication of hey, this worked before, it might work again, won't always be the best fit. But like, what do you think in your terms, like just to round it back to like MetaMundo and the metaverse? Mark, would you have any interest in like creating assets for Minecraft or for these, like wherever the users are, or is it just strictly like Decentraland, like all these play and earn metaverses that currently exist? Because Minecraft is not a play and earn game, but through the ecosystem that Critters brought to life, it did become a play and earn game.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we will be supporting that file format, which is the same that Sandbox uses and CryptoVoxels too, which is the .vox. But I think if you own that 3D asset, okay, you can't verify it on a non-blockchain based game with your MetaMask. But what we can do is we could, for example, watermark it. So we could find a way to have a plaque on the wall that has your wallet ID and your, like some other information to show that you own that asset. And I was a big player of The Sims, and also user generated games like Roller Coaster Tycoon. I would love to put in my house or my car in The Sims, right? And even though it's not blockchain verified, we could find ways to verify it.
Ooh, I'm sorry. Did you just leak alpha? Because I know that Roller Coaster Tycoon has quite a big, sizable plot of land in the Sandbox.
Ooh, did I leak alpha? No, we're not speaking to them, I must say, just to be honest. But I mean, I know they're looking at it, and Atari as well. Atari is obviously doing a lot of stuff in the Sandbox and also in Decentraland. So those guys they're aware of it. And yeah, Roller Coaster Tycoon is one of the best examples of user generated content creator game. The same as Minecraft, the same as The Sims in many ways. And my dream is that you should be able to create in one of them and invest in that asset, and then I'll be able to use that elsewhere. Just coming back to like the bigger picture, right? Like I was back at my family for Christmas, and I saw my nephew, and like for one of the first times, so he's 10 years old. For one of the first times, he didn't get that many. I think he got more digital wearable gifts than actual in real life gifts for Christmas, right? So he was showing me his Fortnite skins and wearables, and then he was showing me what his Roblox money and what kind of skins he was gonna buy for Roblox. And obviously, me knowing what I know, I was like, "Oh no, what if those guys close down? What if they shut? You can't take that elsewhere. That's a walled garden. That's like money, and inevitably they're not going to go on forever and ever. But if you're spending money on that wearable, let's make sure you can take it elsewhere."
100%, brother. I'd like to think that will come a point in time, especially with 10KTF, Adidas, these NFTs, where not only can you redeem the NFT within the metaverse, but like you can also redeem like physical merchandise with that NFT, and that physical merchandise, there will only be like a one of one of that merchandise, or you'll know you'll know how much have been created or exists in the world based on the serial number, um, like the amount within the NFT. So like, there's just so many ways of interoperability to go about it. I think physical and digital, what Antonym, one of our other partners, calls the phygital, is also like an interesting play there. Have you guys thought about that? The representation of your master file, not just across metaverses, but also how it would look from a physical rendition.
Physical as in actually having it in your pocket, do you mean?
Yeah, 100%.
Like,
Like 10KTF, think about that, right? That's a NFT of backpacks, socks, like Nike high tops, and they're redeemable for one of one, but they're also going to be usable in the new metaverse that Beeple and Mike Fig and the people behind Possible and We New Moments are creating. And this is all in collaboration with Nike, Louis Vuitton, that of the like. That's not necessarily alpha as much as it just is what it is. So I'm curious if you
yeah.
guys also thought about the physical representation of your assets.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, actually, another one of our partners is Meta Factory, and those guys are doing an amazing job at selling in real life wearables T-shirts, and then actually making those as well, metaverse wearables. So for us, I think there's just going to be a crazy crossover from people wanting, what they have in the virtual world in the real world as well. I think things are going to get really crazy in terms of the fact that what we're building in the metaverse, there are no limitations, right? Why do designers have to think about gravity? Why do they have to think about planning regulations? And we want to see how far their creativity goes. But then I think when they actually go to a certain distance, actually people in real life will look at those assets and go, actually, I want to take that out of the metaverse and put it into my real life too. So for us, it's a bit tricky to. I mean, I come from a background in architecture, so I know how difficult it is to build a real life house or a real life building. And these are the assets that we'll be starting off with. So it's definitely easy to build those in the metaverse. I'm not too sure how we could represent those in real life, but for MetaMundo itself, of course, we'll be doing merch. But the other thing we're actually doing, this is some alpha actually, we are looking to invest in, it's an amazing like hologram technology, which allows us in real life to show the 3D asset and turn it around. And you can kind of walk around it and you can see on a large scale. So you probably see, the Star Wars hologram when they're Skyping or chatting with the other Jedis, or you see that the hologram pops up. We're looking at an even bigger version of that. We want to take that to events so people can actually, upload their NFT and then see that 3D asset in and walk around it in real life. I think the other thing that we're looking at, just to follow on from there, of course, is AR. So for the Meta Portal, we are even speaking with, for example, a members club. We know some people from a members club that would be interested in how we could show the portal on their door. So if you own this portal, how could you show it in AR? And then it will actually open up a real life door.
That's incredible. And I mean, yeah, you answered my question. I was going to ask, is the hologram closer to AR, or is it really just a hologram? And I mean, it sounds like you guys are doing both, which I think is great. Maybe you could talk a little bit about some of the advantages and disadvantages of that.
I think the big question is, and if the rumors are true that Apple is going to bring out an AR device from what I believe, it's like a combined AR VR device this year. I believe it's going to be fairly expensive, but we do know, of course, of more AR devices appearing, and I completely understand the reasoning behind developing, more 3D stuff, because we've been looking at our 2D phones for way too long, right? Like, I do want to have some device where I'm walking through the real life and I'll be able to imagine a building that I want to build, or imagine a house I want to buy, or imagine a car, and I'll be able to see that in AR. So we are very hardware dependent on AR, also VR still. I think we're too dependent on the Oculus still at the moment. However, there are some new VR hardware devices coming out. But we're preparing for the moment when these VR and AR devices are going to actually hit the mainstream. And of course, if Apple is going to do an AR device, then it's game over, right? Like, as soon as they execute on a great product, then it just gets adopted. So I think we're in a really good place at the moment.
Yep, that's what I've been telling good old Mitch, is that, if Apple can do it, it'll be something special. And yeah, it's going to really catapult us into the kind of next stage of what's going on here. And it looks like we got Captain Dad Pants coming up. Great name. Hopefully they can connect. But yeah, I mean, I think the interesting part with Apple and the hardware is that, they need the devs to do something, quite literally. So like they're going to need mass software adoption and apps built out for it to mean anything. Like, if you remember the iPhone when it launched, I mean, there was like 5 apps and they could barely do anything, right? And you could get away with it back then because it was so novel and new. But I think the more recent one was like the watch, where it came out with pretty basic features, and people push back a little bit on that. So we're going to make sure that they have the SDK and everything ready to go before they actually launch, I think, for it to be as successful as it can be.
I think they need to get the pricing right as well. I when the Apple Watch first came out, I thought, no, you don't need more notifications on your wrist as well, right? But now, when and I don't know when it came out, was it 4 or 5 years ago, maybe longer? But now I see it's everywhere. Yeah, people really enjoy it as a piece of hardware. So if if they can get the pricing right for a good AR VR device that you can wear longer than 30 minutes, that has a good start with the apps, and they have an open SDK which people can build on top of, then I think also from MetaMundo's point of view, we'd be on top of that as fast as we could to build some sort of app that allows you to properly enjoy the 3D asset that you've bought, right, from that 3D creator.
Yeah, I mean, I'd even push back that the price doesn't even really matter for the first one. Like, I think the people are going to be buying this. They're not very price sensitive. Like, maybe it's just the JPEG money talking right now, but I mean, I'd pay a couple $1,000s for it if it's the first like one, and if it actually works. I think that's the biggest thing. If it actually works and there's something I can do with it, I can see that it works, I can show it off, it looks good and feels good. Um, then I'll pay almost whatever I need to for it, just because I want to have that. I want to be one of the first people with it, and I think there's a lot of other people in the space in a similar position, and then they can get the price right for everyone on like the second or third one. But I mean, you can see it with the headphones too, right? They're compared to the Sonys and the Bose, they're an extra $100 or $200, but that's kind of the Apple premium price tag that people are just known to pay at this point.
That's true, but I mean, the Quest has just come down in price, right? I don't know how much it is now, $400 maybe, 315.
250.
250. Wow, that's so cheap. I think for. I mean, I saw a statistic that was the best-selling games console, like technically game hardware for Christmas. But of course, that was because PlayStation and Xbox just could not. They were just completely outproduced. They could not produce anymore. So everyone went and bought the Oculus, and I think it's affordable, right? That's a really affordable price. So it has to be something super special that Apple brings out, I think. And I'm sure they execute on products so well, so I'm sure it will be.
Yeah, I just don't think they're competing with the Oculus right now. I think they're two completely different offerings, and they both have their value. And then maybe down the line, it will compete once they get to that mass adoption. But first, they just kind of gotta break the seal and open the floodgates a little bit.
I'm just reading here. Apple is rumored to have a secret team of hundreds of employees working on virtual and augmented reality projects. So I hope so. They're saying 2022.
Yeah, I mean it's super exciting. We've heard rumors about it since like 2020. I think COVID fucked up a lot of things for that plan, but I don't know. 2020 seemed ambitious, but I was hearing they wanted it to be 2020 vision, and that was the whole thing, and they were really pushing for that as like a marketing campaign, but obviously it didn't work out. And yeah, I don't know. I'm really excited for what's to come for sure.
Do you play in VR? Do you use Oculus or do you play VR games?
Yeah, I have. I got the first Oculus actually almost right, pretty close to when the second one came out. So I got ripped a little bit on the price, but I bought the second one as well, and I've been sharing them with my family. But I don't play that often anymore. I used to be a Beat Saber maxi, and that was pretty fun. I played the Star Wars game, and that was really, you see Darth Vader in your face, like it's pretty fucking scary. Uh, but yeah, I just haven't really put on the headset recently. I think when I actually do, it's fun, but I mean, with NFTs especially, it's just been something I haven't really picked up in a while. How about yourself?
Yeah, I used to live actually in a in an old Amsterdam house, and my bedroom was above a VR room, like a VR studio. So I would actually get to go and play on the Quest quite often, and also with like other people. And it's good. It's really an amazing immersive experience for 30 minutes. But then you just get a bit tired. I think it's not something that you can just sit there and relax. It's not so relaxing at the moment. But if they can get it right, where it's this combination of, if you can, yeah, if the AR works and the VR works and it's smooth and it can be a relaxing but also really fun experience, then I think it will take off. And we're betting on it as well at MetaMundo. So the assets are going to be VR optimized and AR optimized too.
Agreed. Totally agreed there on all the points. And I think one of the biggest points is multiplayer. Because that's just the kind of gamer, that's the kind of person I am. Like if I'm playing by myself, I just don't really care. Like I need to be competing against someone. I need to be playing with my friends and like telling them that I'm way better than them and they suck. Like I need that competitive juice flowing. I can't just play by myself. I get lonely.
Yeah, and especially if there's really good social games out there to compete with that you would automatically, yeah, or by default you would go towards those more social games too.
100%.
I'm just wondering if anyone has any questions, please put your hand up, and I'd love to answer any.
Yeah, I was gonna reach out as well. That's we still got a little bit of time left. If people do have questions on MetaMundo or just metaverse
I
connectivity,
think I
VR.
think I think Life E just put his hand up.
And if you guys do want to talk, make sure you are on mobile, so that you can actually request. And then if you just click the little mic button in the bottom left of your phone, we will see that request and be able to get you up.
Oh, here's Sanath.
Hey guys.
Yep.
Hey guys, can you hear me fine?
Yep, loud and clear.
Perfect. You guys are doing a good job here. So I kind of have a question for Mark from MetaMundo. So the question is, so it's not that the metaverses, there's not a set of metaverses that is, that is. So what I'm trying to say essentially is like, there are going to be a lot of metaverses that are going to come out in the future, right? It's not going to end up with spatial or Decentraland and Somnium Space and so on. So what are your plans for the future metaverses? So if there is this a new metaverse that needs to have a different file format and it has a different set of restrictions, and I have an NFT, the 3D NFT that I've bought through the MetaMundo's 3D Marketplace, right? And it's currently compatible for the metaverses that are present today. So what happens when the new metaverse comes in? So I was just wondering if you can give me a little bit of insight into that.
I'm glad you asked that, Sanath. Thank you for a great question. So we have thought about it. And when I mentioned before the parent NFT, so we ask the 3D creator to give us their most optimal 3D file. So that 3D file is, a high polygon count, quite a heavy file, very detailed. But this file, of course, is too heavy and it has too many polygons to work with the cloud-based open metaverses. So what we do is that's the parent file, and we keep that file, and that is what we call the future-proofed file. And that becomes the parent file, and then we optimize that file and convert it into the child files for each metaverse. When a new metaverse appears, and we're keeping in mind, for example, Wilder World that's built on Unreal Engine, and that just looks incredible, then we can get those requirements from Wilder World and say, okay, what is the polygon count? What's the file size that you guys need? What's the plot of the land size that is optimal? And then we can actually put that into our conversion tech. We actually then create a new child NFT and we add that to the wrapper. So then you'll actually get an optimized new child file, which is optimized for that new metaverse.
That is great. So if I own an NFT, so it's automatically compatible for the future metaverses as well. Oh, that's good. Okay.
Yeah, we want to future proof that 3D asset as much as possible. So we're taking that into consideration.
Oh, that's really good. I'm just mind blown about this MetaMundo. I mean, you guys are doing a great job. And if I may, I have another point of discussion maybe. So what I wanted to ask or put forth in this space is another thing about the whatever the async art is doing. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. It's async art, I guess. So I saw that they have this interesting thing about having different states and layers, and there is this master file. So it's like you if you own the master NFT file, I guess maybe I'm just a newbie here, and then I'm just explaining too much here. So if you guys know it already, I'm not explaining it anymore. But what I'm essentially trying to say is these modular NFTs, right? So how do you see this with these 3D architectural stuff? So for example, I say I need a lobby area, and then I need a networking area, and then I need a breakout room or something like that. And then if I have a piece of land in the Decentraland, and then I use this NFT in that space, right? And then when I want to use it for a different purpose, I just change the state, just like what the async art does, and then I get to have a new space in the Decentraland. No, the space itself is kind of changing there. So I just want to put forth up in this for in this space for this discussion. So what are your opinions on that?
I'm just checking out async art right now, actually. It looks really cool. So it looks like you have one piece of NFT art, and then you can modify it and change it when it's
Exactly.
basically a minted NFT.
Exactly.
Uh, we have been speaking with our 3D creators on what if people want to customize their space, and that is something that we are exploring. So I think that technically we need to look into that, but I think, if someone has bought a 3D asset from a creator and they want to, I don't know, change the door or change a window or somehow optimize it or change it, then they should have the opportunity to maybe contact the creator and see what they could change. And actually, we are working with one architect that is actually offering, you buy his 3D NFT, then he gives you like 5 hours of customization after.
Okay, that's good. That's great. I mean, this is it's really interesting to see these kind of changes. Especially, I'm kind of putting forth these kind of discussions in this space. It's mainly because I see there are these two big problems with these players, these gamers who are using these metaverses. So the first is interoperability, which you are trying to solve, and the other problem which I kind of see is that I get a space and then it's not customizable, or if I buy a space for it to be art gallery, I just have to use it as an art gallery for the rest of the time until and unless I have another NFT that I can use for an auction house or something like that, right? So this customizability is another thing I see as is going to be a problem in the future. So but it's really good that you guys are working towards this, and kudos to you guys. Thanks a lot for the opportunity.
Thank you, Sana. Okay, live.
Hey, what's up, Mark and everybody else that's been on this panel, and thank you for all the information and the innovations. It's just it's amazing. I actually just came across a YouTube video that you were interviewed, Mark, and another gentleman. I forget his name at the very moment, but it was
Hugh
on.
Harrison.
Yeah, QU Harrison Terry, that on his site. So just found out about that about like an hour ago, joined your Discord, and then I saw that you had this space about to happen. So I was like, wow, this is just meant to be. Myself, I'm a 3D sculptor with ZBrush and then Blender for materials and more like PBR rendering and now animation and things like that. But for 15 years, I've been more on the heavy polygon ZBrush sculpting. And I've been in it NFTs for about 6 months, and when I got into looking into like Decentraland and how can I actually try to build some architecture or upload some of my art, I was a little discouraged by the low poly count, and that's always been a problem I've felt from way back 20 years ago when I saw video games Atari and ColecoVision, and it's like I always felt it could be more advanced, and even video games, it got better and better. And like with I'm not going to ramble too much. I notice I'm starting to do that, but I always had a vision that it could get to a realistic or almost Unreal Engine kind of place to where some of the trailers are nowadays, and actually some of the video games now are nowadays. So it's just really cool. I love the idea when I heard you speak about having this parent like source of the highest quality future proof, and I've always felt that vision that like I can't wait for the technology and the workload or the computing to be able to handle this kind of high res realism and things like that. But stylism is great as well, so I'm not against that. I'm just saying I just love that you have all these kind of like tiers, and it's all just adaptable to different platforms and file types, and it's just so awesome. So I signed up to the to like be a creator on your site, and I'm just looking forward to getting involved. So thanks for
That's awesome. Yeah, thank you very much, Lev. Thank you for checking us out. That Q Harrison, I think he just posted it. I did the podcast with him last Saturday.
Wow.
Really great guy, actually. He was really fun to speak to. I have a question. What do you what software do you use to create your art at the moment, the 3D art?
So I use ZBrush for my sculpting, and I pretty much go full out. I may use a base mesh, but I don't try to use preset humans. And I, not to say that I have to go labor, but I really like to be unique and not sort of generic. So I get ZBrush with all my high organic detail, and then I use just for the past month I've been using Substance Painter and I learned it within like 2 weeks to make my most recent drop, which is my pin. I'm not trying to show, but that's my most highest level that I've ever gotten to actually bounce out PBR, like, you know, textures to use instead of displacement maps, because my blender crashed a lot when I was using displacement maps. So I got into normal maps and I was like, you know what, I get it. Like I understand why they're useful. And at first I thought I needed that bump or profile. And I'm really happy with I love like real world, like say environment reflections, all that kind of stuff, like, you know, glowing emission, all that. So I pushed myself over the past 4 months to use Blender to get to that level, because ZBrush, you can't really use these sort of real space, reflective, interactive optics, you know what I mean? Like all those things. So Blender and ZBrush in the short answer. Sorry.
No, that's awesome. I mean, and that's the problem we came across, just like artists like you, that, you know, you felt so restricted to build in Decentraland, and then you've just done one asset, right? And it's one asset that you can't take out of Decentraland. It can't be used anywhere else. And you've spent a bunch of time making and optimizing this asset just for one space. Like for us, we think that's a really big problem. And for creators, we want to basically make it as easy as possible for 3D creators to create assets for the metaverse. And then in turn also for people who want to invest in 3D NFTs, because no one wants to buy just one 3D asset for Decentraland, because Decentraland is not going to be the first and it's not going to be the last metaverse. So it's super great to hear about your workflow. And yeah, MetaMundo is here to support creators just like you, actually, to say, hey, you use ZBrush. We want you to use that. That's where you're best in, right? You're definitely not best in the Decentraland builder or the Sandbox builder. And then we'll do the heavy lifting. You give us your best 3D file, we'll mint it, and then we'll make sure it's represented the best way possible across the metaverse.
That's amazing. I'll tell you just from an experience real quick, because it's hard. I'm very high realistic. You may see from my work, I do love stylized simplicity as an art, but when I signed up for Decentraland, I started researching, doing a few videos, and then I felt like I hit a roadblock once I realized that limit. I was even thinking, how can I chop up my artwork into little blocks like Legos and then build it with the detailed sort ofness, you know, and then make it as triumphant as I wish it could be presented. Because I just thought, like, okay, well, maybe I'll make big statues and then I'll just sort of upload small pieces. You get it? Like the Statue of Liberty was built with panels, and I'm like, how can I was trying to innovate, and I sort of just was like, meh, and it was like a downer. And I was like, yeah, I don't know, maybe I could do some simple blocky stuff. But I'm not into that, like me bits, or you know, I'm not against it, but I just saying, like, I don't really want to go with some blockiness stuff. And even, yeah, I just felt like, come on, we're in 2022, like, so not saying it has to be all super high realistic or anything. I'm just, there's all different kind of ways, you know, you can look at it. But I love that you can go backwards in a sense, like you're saying, give us your best shot, give us your highest like produced visual, we'll sort of like break it down to where it's applicable. I love that, you know, and hopefully in the best way possible. You know, it all depends, obviously, as you decrease detail, it, you know, but that's an art in itself. It'd be interesting to see how you automate that. I am, you know,
I have to say the Sandbox, the .vox conversions, they're really good fun. So like an architect gives us a really amazing villa, which is like super high detailed, and Then we put it through the converter to turn it into a .box file. And you're like, what is this? Where did this come from? But actually, the creators are like, actually, you know what? That's quite fun. I like that. Like, we just did a swimming pool, and the swimming pool turned, like, it just turned into blocks of blue jacuzzi looking thing. And we were like, okay, we'll run with that. And that's what the creator gets, the collector gets too.
That's cool. That's cool because I've done like say realistic art and then I put filters or turn them into say comic. You could do kind of like outline comic sort of renders and it simplifies it in a new way and it's like an abstraction but it can be very beautiful and like so for instance you can import into Apple Motion. You can import 3D models now and they have filters in there. So I basically imported a glib or however you pronounce it, right, model. You could set up light bulbs inside of Apple Motion, and then they have these filter effects. So I did the comic filter, and you have some parameters that you can adjust. And now I was moving around this like head. It was kind of like a robot head, but it was like comic, and it was simplified into almost vector looking art. And I was just like, this is so dope. Like I love this, but I wouldn't have basically thought of it like that. So, and then I could see like say how you can put artwork and turn it into text. Even I've done that, and I'm like, wow, I love that. You know how you can turn it into forget the word, but yeah.
So that sounds wild. So let's if you've made an application, I'm sure we'll be getting in touch very soon.
I did, and thank you for letting me have the stage, and I appreciate talking to you, and I love what you all are doing. So thank you. Yes.
No
Take
problem.
care.
Hey, Meg, Jacob, Metaverse HQ guys, do we want to let the listeners know about the whitelist allocation we've got for Metaverse HQ members?
Yeah, I think let's go ahead. You're welcome to do the honors. Mitch got rugged, it looks like, so I'm inviting him back up. I think Meg got rugged as well, potentially. But yeah.
I have to be honest, I don't know where you guys shared your whitelist opportunity. Did you share it in your Discord or on your Twitter as well?
Yes, on Discord.
Okay, so is the pitch that all Metaverse listeners here, Metaverse HQ listeners, go to the Metaverse HQ Discord, and then you've put it in one of your channels, I assume, how to get the whitelist for the Meta portal.
Yeah, so actually, it's probably easier if I go through it than just because we're in there. Yeah, we've got it right now. It's in our allow list announcements channel, and you can sign up for the pre-mint there, and that will give you access to the raffle of the 50 allow list spots generously offered from your team.
That sounds perfect. Yeah, I think it's been a long day here. It's been a really good chat. Unless do we have some more questions? Does anyone have any more questions? I'm happy to field a few more. Unless we want to call it a night.
Yeah, I think we've had some great discussions. It looks like we're kind of winding down here. I know it's been about an hour and a half, I think, since we started. So I think we've covered pretty much everything, unless you'd like to kind of leave us with some final remarks.
No, I just hope I'm looking forward to collaborating more with you guys, and I'm sure you'll be hearing more from us. And yeah, if anyone has any questions, drop into our Discord, discord.gg/MetaMundo, and myself and our community are very happy to answer any questions.
Amazing. And yeah, thank you so much for your time. Excited to conquer the metaverse together. And if you have not heard of Metaverse HQ before, we are an exclusive token gated alpha community started up in the end of July. So we've been around for quite some time, and we basically have minted every project kind of under the sun. We're very experienced traders, and our community is focused on educating the community, whether you're brand new to the space or you're an experienced degen like most of us are. We want to make sure everyone can get to that upper echelon and be making money selling JPEGs. So that's our ultimate goal, and we like to partner with long-term partners like MetaMundo, who are also looking to innovate and educate in the space and continue to push the industry forward. So that's why we were so excited to partner with them. If you'd like to learn more about Metaverse HQ, feel free to DM one of the speakers up here. We are happy to talk more, Mitch, Meg, or I, and the Metaverse HQ account, of course. You can also check out our website at mvhq.io. That has a ton of good information, as well as partnership information if you are a founding member of a project or have some connections there. Once again, thank you all for your time. Thank you, MetaMundo, for sharing with our community. And yeah, we'll see you back in voice chat and back in the metaverse.
Thanks, Jacob. Meg.